virtually any time you see me with my suit coat on, you will find me having in my pocket a copy of the United States Constitution. I value this document. It is the source of our liberties and freedoms. I trust that each of you will get to know this document. It's a simple document. It could be read by anyone in this audience with an 8th grade reading level in 30 minutes. It's not complicated. You simply need to get it and read it. That's what it's about. And I want to ask you to think with me about how our government was structured. First of all, let's begin with this. Who created the federal government? That's an important question. And I'm here to respectfully suggest to you that the federal government was created. It is a creation. It is not organic in its own being. Someone made the federal government. And that individual, or that entity that made the federal government, is addressed in the Constitution, in the preamble. It begins, many school-age children still memorize this, it begins, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union." It goes on, I could recite it for you, but time would limit me on that. But we the people are who created the government. I will also direct to your attention that it was signers from each of the 13 original colonies that approved the Constitution. So it's fair to say, ladies and gentlemen, that the people and the states both pre-existed the federal government, and the people and the states created the federal government. Now, when we understand this principle, I want you to think with me briefly for a moment, and I want you to answer a simple question in your own mind. Which is greater, the creator or the created? Simple question, right? The creator is greater than the created. That is, the people and the states are over, have more authority, have greater power, and have created the federal government. When we understand this principle, we understand that we are not voiceless. We are not powerless. There is something we can do. How do we do it? We have to begin by understanding what the Constitution says. Now, there are many among us, particularly in the halls of higher education and in law schools, who are going to begin to try to persuade us that the federal government is the greatest government. It's the greatest, it's the highest, it's the most powerful. And that the federal government tells you to do something, you've got to do it. Let me begin by directing your attention to a section of our Constitution. Our Constitution was drafted into articles, and actually it just goes, again, very short, Article 1 through 7. Article 6 of the Constitution says as follows. Paragraph 2. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made, or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. Listen to what it says and listen to what it does not say. It does not say the federal government is the supreme law of the land. It does not say the United States Congress is the supreme law of the land. It does not say the federal courts are the supreme law of the land. It says this Constitution and the laws which are made pursuant to are the supreme law of the land. So all due respect to our federal Congress, all due respect to our federal judges, the Supreme Courts, and all the courts of appeals, and the courts of claims, and the federal district courts, and the bankruptcy courts, but if they pronounce something that is contrary to the Constitution, it is void. It is invalid. And if our Congress votes on legislation that is not permitted by the Constitution, it is void. It is invalid. Why? They are usurping the authority given to them by the two creators, the people and the states. That's a very plain principle of the Constitution. Where do we find the role of the federal government? It's given in Article 1 of the Constitution. And Article 1 begins with a very simple statement that we all need to understand. Article 1 is the most lengthy of all the articles, and Article 1 is the part of the Constitution that creates the federal Congress. We know we have a United States House. We know we have a Senate. Here's what it says. All legislative power. 3 short words. I want you to say them with me. Ready? all legislative power. Now, what's the first word? All. All legislative power herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. Friends, the President has no legislative power. He cannot make law. The federal courts have no legislative power. They cannot make law. The Congress, all legislative power is granted to Congress. The House of Representatives and the Senate. That's the beginning point. That's the beginning point. What power was given then by the states and by the people to our federal government? Those powers are limited. In Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, it's simple. You can read it, and I hope that you will go home and find it. Get on the internet and find a copy of the Constitution. Go to Article 1, Section 8. Say that with me. Article 1, Section 8. In Article 1, Section 8, it says what the powers given to the federal government are. And I've made a list here. I'll be glad to give you one of these. You want to come by my office or email me or call me. I've divided them up into 20 categories. Let me read them quickly for you. I know my time is limited, but I want to tell you, first of all, here's what the Constitution says the federal Congress can make laws about. Now, if there's not anything listed here, then they can't make a law about it. The states reserve that right. The people reserve that right. And here's what it says. They may lay and collect uniform, that means consistent, equally applied, taxes, duties, imposts, and excise taxes. They may borrow money on the credit of the United States. There's one they do very well. They borrow money. Number 3, they may regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states. That is, a product that will cross state lines. They are given, the federal Congress is given authority to vote on laws that would be in interstate commerce or with foreign nations. They may establish rules of naturalization, which means citizenship and immigration. That's something they should be doing a little bit more on, in my opinion. They can establish uniform rules of bankruptcy. You know, if you've got a bankruptcy issue, that's a federal court issue. It's a federal government issue because the Congress is given authority over that. They may coin U.S. money. And boy, don't get me started on this. We could talk about money for a long time. But they have the authority to coin U.S. money. They may fix, which means to set, standard weights and measurements. They're the organization that says how much a mile is and how much a second is. And we have a different system than the metric system. Congress has the authority to establish that for these 50 states and territories.